Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to Alpha Protocol podcast, where we speak with industry expert about the AI and their impact in the financial service market. Today, we are very proud to bring our guest, an industry expert in this space. Today, we are with Bill Salus. Bill is a managing partner and co-founder of Paddock Capital Market. He has 30 years of experience in the industry in different capacity, worked across the board with different opportunities from executive management to relationship manager across the investment services and financial service industry. Bill is widely recognized as an industry expert in the M&A market in the financial and fund services industry. Bill has previously served as the ex-CEO of Apex, which is one of the large funded admin in the market. Today, we will focus and on the topic of impact of AI in the financial services and M&A market. So, welcome, Bill.
Thank you, Kumar. Welcome. Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Thank you. So, today, the first topic we would like to dive in directly is it's a lot being talked about the AI and the impact of AI in the fund services and the capital market side. And you can see the wave of AI and the spending going into this market is great. Everyone is talking about the impact, and there is all sort of conversation that AI is working, AI is not working. Now, we would like to think what's your perspective in this market, how the AI is impacting, and especially from the M&A lens. And we'd love to learn
Yeah.
what's the thought.
Yeah, sure. I mean, no doubt AI is a very, very impactful trend that's coming to the market. The world of fund operations is changing constantly. And throughout the years, there's been a constant influx of new technologies. It used to be that fund administrators were all about people, process, and what they broadly called technology. Most of that technology was around their fund accounting platform by almost by definition. But in recent times, accounting has gone from being the center of what a fund admin does out to the side, and data has become more of the focus. And so then the mantra changed to people, process, and data management. Fund administrators began to grab data not only from their fund accounting platform, but from a myriad of third-party inputs coming in, multiple point applications, multiple ways of delivering out to their fund manager clients, out to investors, and so forth. And so after several years of really working hard to bring in a data management discipline into fund administration, along comes AI. And I think it comes at kind of the right time, because that data now is sitting there, and what do you do? And it's always been a challenge to fund administrators to get to their information, get to their data. We used to say back in the day, what do I own in China? And nobody could figure that out across these systems. And now that the data is pulled together, it's still a difficult question. It's not a difficult question for AI. And now people, process, and AI has come into the fold. The impact on the M&A activity, which is very, very active in this market, is very, very minimal, though, as a headline at the moment.
Yep.
Everybody, every fund administrator, big, large, and in the middle, is looking for a way to deploy AI. Firstly, you almost have to say AI to keep up with the Joneses. Every website is going to talk about it, AI this and AI that. But I think if you look to how AI is going to really impact M&A work, I think you have to understand how M&A work is really done today. What are the value drivers that a buyer of a fund administration is looking at in order to create and strike a value for that purchase? They are mostly, what kind of client base, what kind of organization is the fund administrator that's selling? What is the management team like? What is the growth been? And what is the bottom line? What is the margin? And so when you look at that buying criteria, if AI could impact any or all of those toggles, as we call them, then it's going to prove out to be a very, very valuable weapon in the marketplace. Right now, it's kind of oozing into these fund administrators that are spending money, spending time and effort on recreating their operation to be enhanced by AI. But over time, if by using AI platforms and activity and deploying AI practices across a fund operation, you will see administrators be able to offer more product in the market. They'll be able to attract higher talent in the market. They'll be able to make themselves more efficient and therefore increase their bottom line. And if that happens, AI's impact on fund administration is going to be very, very profound and drive very, very high, we think, increasing values because you're just going to have better run companies over.
No, thank you. This is a really good analysis of exactly what the impact of AI looks in this market. You brought in two important topic here, and I would like to segue into one of that, and then we'll go back to the other one. The first one you brought in with the data, which is very, very crucial in this whole conversation, because yes, you are absolutely right. The amount of data has been sitting and been accumulating over the year is now what you're going to do with that. Now AI is there, so you can use that data. And we'll jump into that conversation because that brings a lot of other thread of conversation from there. But before jumping into that topic, I would like to have few more thoughts on this efficiency gain, because everyone is talking about the efficiency and the ROI of AI, and this whole AI conversation is all hinges on like, okay, what is the efficiency I'm getting in? What is the ROI?
Yep,
What is the TOC
yep,
of this thing?
yep, yep.
So, and that's directly impacting the M&A.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I would love to hear your
Yeah, and
thoughts.
in fact, I think people jump to conclusions that, then how many people can I get rid of? Because personnel costs are so high in any given fund operation that the natural inclination is to say that I can do what I'm doing for less or with less people. The fact of the matter is you probably can do more with less, but you can do more with a better. It's going to change the job descriptions of your client service people who are going to be equipped with more information at their fingertips. You're going to be able to deliver quicker, faster information out to your client base and their investor base. You're going to improve things on a workflow basis. So, the bottom line, the true bottom line, is going to be just a sharper, more well-run professional services organization that is supported by AI in all ways. Even when you sit down at your desk, the AI market, as you would very know well out there in Silicon Valley, is full of buzzwords. And one of the ones we like nowadays is promptless as a buzzword, which means I'm going to sit down at my desk, and my first hour and a half, being in an accounting driven or a fund accounting or fund administration, is to do a whole bunch of opening day tasks and recons and looking at exception reporting. Yeah, I may get rid of that in a heartbeat. We're not going to have to prompt. It will already have taken care of what we do every day. And again, what does that do to that client service person or that recon person in the fund operation? He's just going to get better faster and be able to handle a wider capacity of work. At that level, AI, which is boundless when you try to think of it from an imagination standpoint, is really going to create a different model of running a fund administrator. I think this is one of the things that we see when we talk about implementation of AI. We see a lot of fund administrators, kind of running down the hall with, look, I went to Staples and I bought some AI. Now, how do I plug it in? Right? Well, the fact of the matter is, it's really going to be a profound change on a fund operation, which is not easy, right, to begin with. Uh, but that's what it's going to take for the better to improve by using AI, whether it's on customer service level, whether it's on your operating level, whether it's going to be in a new business level, whether it's going to be on adding product or product development. And I think that is where we're going to see margins improve and importantly growth improve, and I think attract a different quality of personnel to fund administration today. We always say that the hardest thing that a fund admin needs to do every day is to win in the marketplace. The second hardest thing is for them to hire the next person. And when fund administration tech stacks are notoriously sort of kludged together with different point application around some open architected fund accounting system, drawing out data into data lakes, putting on queries on top of that. I think AI will kind of clean that up so that personnel who really has a better tech stack at their kitchen table, if you will come into work with a brilliant tech stack, and we think that that will be more advantageous to hire a higher quality of people, or hire people that really understand how to be creative at their work, and be able to drive and be impactful on a global investment operation, which is effectively what fund operation is. But we'll also tell you one other thing is that this is not a choice. This is not,
Yeah.
should I buy a document management or not? Should I buy, should I use my wet signatures? Should I try to use DocuSign? It's not a choice. And the reason why it's not a choice that fund administrators have to adapt to this is their clients are ahead of them in terms of AI principles and AI platforms. And so an investment manager, a fund manager, is already looking to make their middle office, their front office, their portfolio management, their portfolio creation driven by AI power, AI principles, AI. And they're going to, when they turn to their service providers, they're going to expect that that service provider can kind of interface, can kind of be on the same level of technology advancement than that they are. Otherwise, they won't hire them. And to go to the
Yep.
most important thing an admin needs to do is to win in the marketplace. If they're not keeping up with the client base, then they're going to find themselves kind of in a less competitive situation. So we feel that there's a lot of pressure in the market to sort of really work through. This is not buy the AI and plug it in. This is really profoundly, impactfully driving into an organization and really changing it. But we think that's for the better. We will see margins increase. We'll see capacity increase. We'll see the ability of smaller administrators to add product left and right. And that's a real professional services environment, where I have the intellect of the professional services people backed up by an intellect that in a lot of ways, can create solutions much faster than that person, in front of its client. And that's where we think this industry is headed.
Well said. This is like very, very important point you brought in about one of the things which we see in the industry in our like 10. If you look at the from a tech industry, what we used to call is like our 10x engineer, correct? Now the same thing is coming into the fund admin industry. If you equip your best fund admin staff with the best, they become a 10x
Yeah,
worker
yeah,
or staff,
yeah.
however you want to manage.
And we
This is
see
good,
that
great.
in the deployment. Again, there's a learning curve that's going on as to how to use this AI, as you call it, right? And which is maybe not even the best way to even refer to AI, because a fund operation isn't just a single flow of a single workflow. It's a combination of hundreds and hundreds of workflows every day. And so, yeah, there's an overarching kind of, protocol maybe around the query side of things. But the effective installations where we see the most impact, where things get efficient, bottom line is improved, is when each one of those hundred of workflows is being, enhanced by a different process, right? An AI enabled process where each one, whether it's a capital statement, whether it's an LP report, whether it's a board report, whether it's a recon, whether it's a trade support operation, when those are being, the sum of the parts becomes greater as the whole organization. Those that kind of turn it on and look to kind of find out by staying on top and querying their data lake, don't seem to get enough efficiency out of it. And as a result, you don't see it in those valuation toggles that we use, to value admins that are in the sales process, because it's just not impacting them as strong as you think.
Yeah, a great point. Before jumping into the data talk, I would like to pull one more thread of that conversation because that's also very active conversation in the M&A world, and me and you have discussed several times that one. So a lot of private equities are looking from this roll-up strategy because of AI, and that becomes like a very crucial strategy for the private equity side. So what's your thought on that one? Like everyone is looking, okay, if I have capital, I can go and buy, roll up, plug in AI as if it's a plug and play, but then it becomes like more
Well,
valuable,
yeah,
correct?
I think it's kind of if we build it, they will come type of thing, which doesn't happen, I'm not sure, in any M&A market. You have owner founders, you have organizations that are, private equity sponsored back, and their drive to selling is really not necessarily to get another tech toy and join up with a tech club kind of thing. This is, again, a professional services business dealing with fund structures, capital raising, all the things that are really on the ground and require legal, accounting, admin thinking to put together. We know there are people that want to roll up. I think when you look at it, that AI, though, can provide a platform allowing fund administrators to come together easily, more easier than maybe before, because you're not going to have to deal with as much. The presumption is changing fundamental infrastructure, technology infrastructure at the fund admin level. So if there's six fund admins and they have six accounting platforms and six this and seven that, an AI architecture can help get into that data. They can deploy agents across that organization so that it raises up to a single platform, AI enabled. The organization comes together faster. It could get to the market quicker and therefore be impactful in the market and start winning business. Over time, they
Yes.
can kind of solidify and smooth out or reconcile, the myriad of redundant systems underneath. But we think that AI strategies can kind of take you faster into the market, buckle together admins like that. We also say that, that kind of strategy, though, as we talked before, can deliver capabilities to smaller admins, or really to any size admin, where they before either were challenged with priorities in terms of economics, their budget, their timing, their people. I think they're going to have a better way of using AI to empower them more than just buying point applications and trying to buckle them in, API them into their operating value. And we think that's going to be very that will help drive the M&A activity and create roll up strategies where before they were too clunky, too expensive, and all of that. It would also create the ability. What is the resistance on that? Is, as an owner founder, I don't want to get lost in a pool. Right? I don't want to get lost
Yeah.
in some big aggregation kind of jumble. I want to still have my own identity and go after my own set of clients. And AI will be able to allow that on a sub kind of division level, if you will, because it's that good, frankly. And we haven't seen all the power of AI, as you know, as you talk all the time. So
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you for sharing your insight on that one, which is basically one of the what I have personally seen. It's one of the most active conversation across the board. Everyone is, and not just in fund admin industry. Like take an example of any service industry everywhere, but especially in fund admin. Yes, it's a
yeah, so
quite a talk.
that's nice that you're going to give me AI, but what are you going to pay me for me? What are you going to all of that? Is it, we can give you leather seats in the car, but what does the car cost? I mean, that kind of thing is
Yeah.
what's going to, yeah. But again, this is profound change, right? And I think
Yes.
over time, we're only talking about enabling that kind of a platform growth with AI because it just doesn't exist. I think over time, it's all that way. I don't even want to say this; it might be too controversial. But you may be at a day where interchanging admins or pieces of admins is going to be a lot easier than it is today.
Absolutely.
And again, that to us is an improvement step. And we always map it down to, does it make more money? Does it allow you more competitive? Are you a tighter organization? And that's going to make you valuable. If it's AI caused, then that's great.
No, great. Thank you. So now let's switch gears and then focus on some tech conversation. So, what do you think
Then
about?
I'll ask you the questions, Kumar.
So, I would like to first get your insight and from from a lens of industry expert, from a lens of M&A, and from a lens of you've been talking to several uh, fund admin industry, PE, everyone. What do you think about like risk and pros and cons of AI? So when you're speaking with executive, top executive, how they see what is the risk and
Yeah,
reward
yeah,
in AI?
yeah. That is,
What's your
there is a real naivete on how good anything is coming out of an AI platform. You and I would maybe totally believe it's perfect, particularly if it comes from a DwellFi platform, I would think. But, there's still a lot of, doubt or just suspicion or just maybe lack of a track record where information coming out of an AI enabled fund administrator is acceptable to the regulators, can withstand due diligence in a M&A transaction is correct. We have this saying called confidently wrong, which means we're confident about the information, but I'm hoping it's right. And it's one of these things where as this whole data lake concept, data aggregation has come first and has come over the past few years. That audit trails on how that data is put together, how you're deploying agents on that specific data, how it's meta tagged, and how it's provable. That sure, when an LP, for example, an investor or a board or an auditor gets a piece of information from an AI enabled fund admin, it's correct and it's provable. And that's going to be pounded. We see that just in any kind of like prop tech, in any kind of M&A transaction where the buyer will deploy consultants against any kind of prop tech. And if it's not prop tech, how is point applications, third party applications interfacing together? How are they doing that? What's the management? How are they ensuring that the data flows from one application to the next is correct? And if there's doubt there, it begins to impact well, what kind of operation is it? And if there's doubt, then value comes into question. So over time here, AI enabled organizations are going to have to really withstand a due diligence, regulatory due diligence, other governance that are placed upon maybe a registered environment in the UCITS world, in the mutual fund world, what have you, beyond private markets. And it's going to have to be withstand that scrutiny, which is not for the faint of heart, really, in that environment. But there's other things. There's data security, there's cybersecurity, there's confidentiality. We hear that today. We heard that today with Google's expansion to their AI platform. Like, hold on a second, that's really cool, but now I feel like maybe I'm a little more undressed than I want to be in the environment. You're going to get that, right? Because fund admin is not Google. Fund admin is a very, very highly scrutinized operation. And so, what tools are using? If you're telling me you're automating a work process, take me through how that work process is automated. If you're saying cyber, insulated, how am I cyber insulated? How am I banging tests against that? And I think that's very important in the deployment. Again, as things mature, there's going to be certain elements of an AI enabled platform that are going to be proven out and maybe taken as okay, maybe the diligence is less. But I think in the beginning here, everybody's wondering if that really, really nice report that back in the day, meaning 2 years ago, took me 6 people and 25 hours to create that I just did by blinking my eyes, right? And here's the report. Is that right? Is that really right? Because it's coming from so many sources. Confidently wrong, or are we confidently right on that information? And in an M&A transaction, you're going to be proven. And once that falls down, then again, people begin to begin to be very skeptical about the quality of the operation, and that's going to hurt their value.
Yep, no, absolutely. This is one of the most crucial thing in any AI conversation when we go and talk to our fund admin or any other clients, because this whole industry, if you look at, is based on that. You have to have 100% accuracy because you are dealing with numbers and capital, and it's crucial to have exact number and 100%
Yeah.
accuracy. Bring AI, the first thing people look and think about is hallucination and all accuracy. So how can you leave basically 100% trust on the AI without having that a second eye? That's why the where the technology is, it's very crucial to have AI plus human collaboration where AI is doing the grunt work and the human is an auditor. Human has to do the grunt work and human has to be the auditor, but the grunt work can be passed to AI, and then human can be the
Yeah.
auditor, and then
Yeah.
you can keep that in the and keep improving it through a reinforcement learning, and then you get to a point where you have 99%, 98%
Yeah.
accuracy. But still there always be an exception, and that exception is always there is a human for
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
and
that's very
and I
important.
think that will toggle, to as proven workflows are come through the ringer, if you will, or scrutiny of diligence, then the the human aspect of that will be less. AI is not what we used before by no stretch, and we all know intuitively that the quality with which an AI platform does its thing, if you will, is going to be much better than anything that we've seen. Where new product, and I said before, is an advantage, but where new product is invented, where new interfaces, particularly if you're interfacing externally, for example, to a broker dealer distributing your private fund, or to a depository or repository, or to a bank handling your bank distributions, your money distributions, your cross-border money distributions. All of that's going to be impacted here. And again, from us, our view is is it working? Because if it's not, then it's just gonna prove that the homework wasn't done there. And again, so in an operation today, I'm not sure anybody's doing the homework, right? Because it just didn't exist before. And
Yep,
so you got to create that in your environment as you install and deploy, and make it foolproof so that you can shine it off to a buyer.
absolutely. Thanks for sharing that insight. It's very critical. So now we're about to reach the end. But before we end this conversation, I would love to know, what do you think now the market is going to look like in the fund admin space, in specifically from 2026 and beyond?
Yeah.
Of course, as you mentioned,
Yeah. So so
uh,
so there's a
yes,
couple of things. There's a couple of things that kind of, from, again, we're not technicians. We're looking at things that impact operations. It's looking at the car and what's that noise kind of thing, and as we try to sell that car. But a couple of things we were at. First is, I think some private equity companies and research, are kind of thinking, well, hold on, all of this new product, all of this new enablement is coming at a cost that's very reasonable to a fund admin. All right, and I'm sure in DwellFi's case, you have a fee structure based on whatever the circumstances are, and it costs X to that fund administrator consumer, and all that works. However, these companies that are providing and building this product, which is a lot of them, and some of them are everything from Grok to Google, and some of them are smaller, like DwellFi, and they're raising money, they're raising venture capital money, they are investing or have investors along the line. And the feeling is, okay, the cost that we're paying for it now as an administrator is probably not, or maybe is not covering the cost of investment. And so does that come home to roost? Does these costs just run out in the sense that I need to either charge more, or I need to narrow my product, or put more gates on my product, or go to more a la carte? Because now that I have customers, I'm not making my own money because I've invested so much to build the product. Okay. And in some cases, with Claude and other platforms, they're building it for you, right? And there's just the question as to, is something coming home to roost? What does that mean to us in M&A? Well, it means that, is there a cost that's latent in a fund operation that's going to come back? So they're paying X dollars per however you price today, and maybe that price in 2 or 3 years is going to cost more. My customers buying a fund admin are basing their cost structure, their volume structure, their models on what they see today and what's being projected. If something's going to come in a couple of years to ruin that, to upset that, because costs that are now integrated and integral to my customer's performance as a fund admin are now tripled and quadrupled, right? And I can't get rid of them because I need it, because now I've turned my organization around. We think that might be an impact. I said that's a might, right? We're just thinking kind of through it. We've heard some opinion on it, but I think this has happened in other tech, where the tech almost got ahead of itself, and as it began to balance out in terms of the producers of the product, what it costs them, what's the reasonable cost for a fund administrator to pay. We've seen that sometimes could become imbalanced. So that's one. But I think beyond that, there's certainly this installation risk, the lack of understanding, how we take this. Again, it's not that plug-in type of thing. How do we take it and re-engineer our organization, whether it's just on the say the front end, and I still leave my accounting platforms there. They're all going to stay there. How do I manage through that? I think is going to be something that has to come to grips with. But overall, and we see it happening already. It just hasn't happened to the extent that it's impacting those toggles we talked about. Overall, you see a trend toward more efficient, very, very bespoke services, the ability to produce product quicker, faster, the ability to win in the marketplace and to control your bottom line. Seeing very early stages of that, and so we see through 26, through 27, and frankly beyond in this market, which is very active and no end in sight. Frankly, we see a lot of that, because now buyers and sellers coming together are thinking on the same page. A seller's not saying, I don't have that because I couldn't afford it. They're going to be able to have some of it. These guys are going to have a lot of it. And so the organization is going to be accelerated through acquisition, and that's going to help.
That's great. Great to hear that.
Good for
And
you.
the beginning and the beginning of 2026. So I think we will
2026
revisit
is
on this
almost
topic.
over.
That's how it feel like.
It feels like it here on January
So
9th, but
yeah. So once again, thank you
my
so
pleasure.
much, Bill. It's been very, very insightful, and it's always pleasure speaking with you and picking your mind on the M&A and the industry, and how the trend is. So thank you so much for coming
Keep
and
keep on keep
speaking
on
with us.
keeping on, DwellFi. Thank you so much, Kumar.